Hi, I'm James McGuire, and on today's eSpeaks, we're talking about the iPaaS sector, what drives the market, and what you need to know to understand the sector. To discuss that, I'm joined by Rich Waldron, Chief Executive Officer of Trade.io. Rich, very good to have you with us today.
Thank you very much, James. It's a pleasure.
So the iPaaS sector, integration, platform as a service, a lot of changes going on in the sector. Many pieces of software, many data repositories need to be integrated. So it's a very hot sector. What drives the interest in this market in your sense right now?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, iPaaS is really on fire right now. And I think there have been a couple of trends that have really been driving that, certainly within organizations that have been having to figure out this new era that they live in post-pandemic, which is, we had this kind of initial explosion of adoption of cloud services within organizations. They began to spring up within new departments that created a lot of new headaches for IT. The acceleration of that during the pandemic is, well, now we have to be able to distribute and deploy everything in a way that people can access it from home. So where we previously had control of how that migration was going, and it was very clearly going in the direction of the cloud, the acceleration that we saw then was rapid. And why that brought so much attention to the iPaaS space is that these companies now have to figure out, well, we've got, on average 70 applications existing within each department. How on earth do we get them to talk to each other? It's really difficult if we've got our critical sales information spread across 20, 30, 40 applications, our marketing data, our customer record. The need for us to be able to speed up the interaction between these services and how we manually move data between them sends demand very firmly in iPaaS's direction. And the second order is that any software vendor by default now has to figure out an integration strategy. It's not good enough to launch an application today and not have it connect to anything else. And so iPaaS is able to serve both facets. It allows you to solve for your internal integration headaches, the challenges that come with that. But equally, I think a great vendor is then able to offer a method in which you can provide external integration via your product, because by default, a best-in-class iPaaS vendor does that, at its core.
Well, I want to ask about who does the work on the iPaaS sector. There may be many individuals, many types of individuals, but let's drill down to a part of the iPaaS market, which is low-code automation. How is the low-code automation sector and its growth affecting iPaaS? What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, this has been part of the big acceleration that we've seen on the iPaaS front. And if you sort of think through a little kind of potted history of the iPaaS space itself, it's kind of existed since the dawn of software, right? We've always been trying to figure out, well, I have this service over here, and it has all of this information that is useful to me. How do I access it, or how do I combine the records to be able to be more effective with what I do? And so as iPaaS has evolved through generations, that would initially start off being very heavy code base, providing code buses and methodologies that would enable you to integrate these different services at scale. And the audience that would always be doing that would be heavy integration engineering teams, right? Really dyed-in-the-wool developers that were building out very heavyweight transactions and methods of integrating software.
Right.
As time has moved on, there is still a requirement for that to occur. There is still a kind of a belt and braces approach that requires the core infrastructure integration that you see. But as software has exploded within these organizations, you now have a new army of people that have a technical capability, they're an administrator of tools, and they're now able to actually solve a lot of the pains that they historically had to wait for others or wait for integration teams to bring for them. Thanks to low-code automation, they are able to build out their own automations at their own fingertips. The governance can be controlled and managed by IT, but it suddenly means that the team that you have within your organization, becomes 10 times more effective. Because if everybody can in some way become an automator, or in some way can create their own automation, that frees them up to spend their time on their core skill set. And so this movement has been particularly exciting for that combination of line of business and IT working together, because it frees up productivity significantly.
Do you think that today's staffer is in position to really make a contribution with low code to what is a pretty complex platform? I mean, I know low code gives them a tool set, but it's Are they able to conceptually to understand this level that they need to?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the exciting thing about that is, if you think about the way the world's going, right, which is, children are being taught programming in schools. As they come out of colleges, there's a far greater kind of gravitas around technical capability. If you look across the main teams within any organization, you see the creation of this new ops role: sales ops, marketing ops, finance ops, CS ops. These people all have a technical capability. They're at the moment kind of playing an IT role in that they're interfacing with IT, but they're controlling the software stack that's been built out. They're figuring out how to solve for and build out these purposes. And many of these folks have a logical approach to how they solve these problems. And that's really the critical piece of the puzzle when it comes to the complexity that is required to build. These tools aren't for everybody. They're not for non-technical people or people that aren't engaging with the software at that deeper level. But what's happening with iPaaS is it's beginning to open the door for more of these services and more of these departments to become more independent. And as they liaise with their IT function and get close to them, it takes the burden off IT and actually turns them into an empowerment department rather than, historically what was a big place of restriction.
Interesting. Well, let's drill down to Trade.io, your company. How is Trade.io addressing the needs of its clients, and what is the Trade.io advantage?
Yeah, so we've the way that we've built our platform was really firmly with the sort of technical tinkerer in mind. The opportunity that we saw as we built out the platform is, what if you could turn these people into engineers? What if you could give them the capability and the skill set to solve the problems themselves? And so, we were very grateful to benefit from some big advantages in back-end technology, serverless being one of the functions, which has allowed us to build out our platform to handle scale in a way that gives us a huge advantage. Secondarily, we can distribute the product through a browser, which means that it's instant on. You can access our service. You can begin building instantaneously. And it means the kind of combination of a great low-code experience backed by a really powerful and flexible infrastructure opens the door to enable larger organizations to integrate at scale very easily. And the kind of coupled approach here is that to be successful in my eyes, you've got to provide that amazing low-code experience. You've got to provide that way that empowers IT and line of business, but you've also got to provide a really powerful developer infrastructure. And as you have the kind of two together, that allows organizations to actually centralize their automation strategy. And as we've been hearing a lot about in recent earnings calls, companies are turning to automation in times like these to think through how they navigate the waters over the next 18 months.
Well, all right. Speaking of the next 18 months and a longer time span, let's look to the future of low-code automation and the iPaaS sector. Clearly, low-code automation, which feels like it's really risen up in the last couple of years, is revolutionizing information technology. It's sort of giving the keys to the car to all sorts of staffers that never had. So that's going to have an enormous effect on technology. What do you see looking in the future for iPaaS and for low-code automation, or what are some milestones you would expect for the next few years?
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting time for iPaaS. I think we're going to see a couple of key trends emerge. Firstly, I think there'll be a consolidation. There are a number of kind of automation categories right now. They're all sort of centralizing under the iPaaS banner. Secondarily, I think iPaaS has always been about integration and automation. Historically, integration. Today, more automation. Tomorrow, I think it's all about experiences. If you think about the construct of a business, you have people, you have applications, you have services that kind of coexist within these organizations. And really what you're trying to get to is, what is the best in breed service, or what is the best in breed place that has my customer record, right? What is the best sales tool? What is the best payment processor? What is the best marketing solution? You should be looking to your iPaaS vendor to be able to have those services not only work in tandem, but allow you to create an experience that speeds up the interaction of those tools with the rest of your team. And as you think about organizations that have done that really effectively over the prior decade, the reason Amazon is the organization it is today is because from the moment you click the button on their website to the item turns up in your house, it's very tightly integrated. They manually built out so many of those processes. They conformed the tools and the services that they bought to match the process that they wanted to have internally. And I believe that that is what iPaaS is going to be able to offer organizations. You know, the exciting news we've been seeing around AI and ChatGPT shows you what's going to be possible in terms of artificial intelligence. And when you kind of combine these two things together, you know, you're going to have a way in which your software solutions and the way that you think about data will map to your strategic advantage and how you define process within your business. And so I think the key milestones here are going to be that evolution continuing from enabling more people to interact with their iPaaS solution to then being able to create experiences which enable the rest of the organization. And then lastly, being able to actually benefit from the data that's transacting through all these services to centralize around the best of breed applications that you've purchased within your organization.
No doubt there's a market for that. I mean, all those disparate parts out there are crying out to be integrated, and companies are falling behind when they're not integrated. Rich, I think you said it, fascinating, and it's going to be a big, fast-changing sector to follow in the years ahead. Thanks so much for sharing your expertise today.
No problem. Delighted to be here. Thank you.